Hey, yo, what up? I'm Josh Martinez of Z100, New York's #1 hit music station and the Superstar Crossover Podcast with our guest AEW World Heavyweight Champion, Swerve Strickland. What's up, bro?
Hey, what's going on?
And, of course, when you got Swerve, you got Prince and Nana as well. Let's get it. Get it. Now, I got to say, I love the dynamic between the two of you. It's organic. It seems natural. It seems fun. What I like the most is that you do you. You do you. It's not very, you don't smile when he's there. You don't sell it. Let's use a wrestling term. When did you guys realize, oh, shit, we got something here?
For me, I noticed it when we did a Grand Slam.
Oh, right here in Arthur Ashe.
Yeah. Because the Gates of Agony and the Mobile Embassy went out. They did the match against the Elite, the Young Bucks and Hangman. They went out and did their own entrance. I came out in the middle of the match, middle of what's going on.
Running.
And the cameras all shifted to him, and they were like, is he going to do it? And then he did the dance, and then the whole crowd started rocking with it. And we were late in the show, and so they were still interacting like really heavily towards like the dynamic, but everybody was like, oh, Swerve's here. That means Nana's going to dance. So we were like not even close to one another. Yeah. So that's why I knew it was like, okay, we got something.
Crazy. He hit it right on the nail. Arthur Ashe Stadium. It was going to be a big night for Swerve to come out and kind of, what was it, approach the Elite?
Yeah. Y'all were defending the trio set, the 6-man titles.
Everything just was history.
Yes, sir.
No planning involved.
Yeah, we don't really plan much. It's just like there's times I'm like, I'll watch a match back and I'm like, I didn't even know he did that.
but I think that goes to being a veteran, because I think a lot of people don't realize that. Nana, you've been in the game for a minute.
Oh, too long sometimes when you think about it. But yeah, for about 27 years.
You, Mr. Strickland, you've been in the game for a while too. I mean,
15 for me.
15. Oof. Now we know you from the WWE, 205 Live, and the Indies before that.
Yeah.
And then, how would you say your character has changed or evolved since getting to AEW?
I think I just matured it.
That's right.
Like all it did was just like, going to before even like WWE, it was like just on the independents and stuff. I was like experimenting with a lot of things, like especially music. Travis Scott, I was a huge influence on. Huge influence on me. Tyler Creator, ASAP Rocky, a lot of these artists, these visual artists. They take a lot of visuals and psychedelic type stuff and put in their visuals and stuff. Like Kid Cudi's a big on that too. I took a lot of influence on that, and I was like, okay, that's the sound. How would that look on an individual? How would that look on a wrestler? And that's where like the glasses and the hair, the look, the colors started really coming in. And then when I went over to NXT, it's like, okay, how do I bring that onto weekly television? How do I tell that really story of the character of who I was? And for a while, it was just like me just being myself. And then like I was like, I gotta turn it up louder. There's like at that time, it was just like a stacked roster of talent. It was huge. It was really tough and competitive. So in order to stand out in a unique way, like when call-ups were happening and then firings were happening, it was just like leaving me a little bit of window to get more time. So I was like, I had to make use of that time and make it matter. So I went back and watched some more film, and like I watched more movies, and like Wesley Snipes, I love every character he's ever played on screen.
What's your favorite Snipes movie though?
It's not really a Snipes movie, but like Demolition Man is where I got a lot of influence from.
Oh, okay.
Because that's a Stallone movie.
Yeah.
But it would still like counts as a.
He's important.
Snipes. Yeah,
he's
like Wesley's. It's a Wesley movie, but I call it a Stallone movie.
Fair.
But like that, like he was a villain that you just couldn't take your eyes off of. He was so charismatic, you wanted to see what he did next. Right. I was like, I want to find a way to capture that same type of energy. So that's when the color and the hair started coming in, like changing the gear. It was Malachi Black at the time. Alistair, we were in the locker room. He was like, man, everybody's doing the like biker cut in trunks with the kick pads look. I'm like, right now, if you step outside and change up your look a little bit, you can get ahead of like a lot of other people. Sure. So I was like, that's why I went to long pants and the boots and stuff and changed up just to like stand out. It was like kind of like, oh, okay, that's different.
So Malachi Black was the one that inspired a little bit of a
he just brought it attention to like he was like going to the locker room. He saw everybody was kind of like mainly because everybody was wearing what he was wearing, but anyway, but like mainly, but it was just like it was still something that's like, got it. And so it helped me shift. Just and being just like brave enough to shift, to make a shift, and like
try it.
I tried it, and it caught people's attention, and that's what. Then coming to AEW, it was like, okay, now I'm going into a darker realm of things, and we're merging
That's right.
the groups of mogul affiliates and the embassy. So I'm like, how do I mature it to like a boss level? So I went back to Wes. Wesley never failed me before, right?
That's right.
So I took like New Jack City. And matured that into like, what would New Jack City's Nino Brown be in the music industry? And that's where the mogul moniker kind of came from. And then here we are.
So speaking of the music, you started getting into, we talked about this off air a little bit, you kind of started recording after COVID. So you're kind of relatively new to the actual process of recording, right?
Yeah, still. I'm like maybe 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And like from...
You're on it. It's impressive.
Yeah.
Oh, appreciate it.
But I also think that goes back to, and I think there's something to it when you listen to hip hop, and I'm assuming you have one.
all my life, yeah.
That you just pick up these certain cadences and rhythm.
That came from like just these constant years of just driving up and down the road and listening to CDs.
Right.
Like I was like, I know every word of this CD. I know every word of this CD. And then so the muscle was kind of already developing, and I didn't even know to follow a cadence, follow a rhythm, and follow like the syllable schemes and stuff like that. I didn't really know that I was kind of teaching myself. It's almost like you mess with a computer long enough, you kind of can disassemble and put it back together. But now all you gotta do is just get like a certification, and then you're officially that. Exactly. So like that's I'm still like trying to get my certification for it, in a sense in the music industry. But if you look at the short time and the resume and like the little bit of experience of me actually recording music, I have features with Music Soul Child. I got features with John Connor, Mickey Fax, Benny the Butcher, Bun B coming up. Flash Garments. I'm working with like producer, like crazy, like Grammy-winning producer with Prophet and Chase the Money, who works with JID and J. Cole and these guys. Right. I'm in a really interesting circle that a lot of other wrestlers, current day wrestlers, haven't even touched and tapped into yet, in a sense. And I pride myself on just being able to make those leaps so early because I'm just not afraid to do it.
Now, how important is someone like Nana to your career, and someone like, let's say, Malachi Black, who has just like a different view on things, that's willing to also help? Because I think that's a huge difference. There are people that are OGs that are just going to kind of keep shit to themselves. And then there are those like a Nana, or like you mentioned before, even just a subtle comment in the locker room changes. How important are those people to your career?
For one, it starts with me. My humility is what's going to take me to actually taking the step to do that. So like some people, like I can say like, imagine somebody else coming in and be like, man, you should change that. Them shorts, bro. Like maybe start wearing pants to the office. That's maybe looks better. And you could take that as like, man, this dude's trying to diss me. He's like coming at me a little bit. Or you could take it as like, you know what, I'm gonna look at myself and let's see how that. Let me try it and let's see what works out. So there's that, and that's that locker room culture, like
positive locker room culture, because it's not always positive though.
Right. But that's why I say locker room culture, because it can be positive. It's your perspective on what's the positivity. Right. There's people that we've had issues in the locker room too, but I've never had any issues. You don't hear me like any of my name thrown at in any of this kind of stuff. And like anywhere I've gone, I've always had positive I have always had a positive outlook on things, because I took things and just like, okay, I'm gonna take that and use that as a tool and get better with it. And so like Malachi, it could be anybody. Like I've had AJ Styles come up to me and tell me, like, give me advice. I'm like, we never spoken before, but he told me something. I'm like, you got it. And I keep moving. That's just military upbringing for me. Like I need one command and it's getting done. So with that, just taking any type of like, anybody sees any type of thing, like a perspective thing, I use it as a tool. I can't ever look at something in one way. I gotta look at it from his perspective. Like, hey, Nana, you see that? How did that look? He's the first person. Like for me, with our dynamic, he's the first person I go to after a match is done. Yeah. Like every time.
Same thing here. I go right to him, and I try to get his feedback, because what he's been doing in the ring for the last 15 years is unbelievable work that a lot of guys right now in the pro wrestling business wishing to get to that type of level as far as a athlete is concerned. And like I told everyone before, I've known Swerve since he's about 19, 18.
Yeah.
And his humility to someone like me who hasn't gotten signed until the last 2 or 3 years was unbelievable. He came to me with respect. He wanted to get, my advice and feedback on what I thought about his matches, and he did that for about 10 to 15 years until he got signed to WWE, and then he crossed over to AEW, and then he merged with the Embassy, and we're here today.
Do you think there was a match in particular, or maybe a program that made everybody kind of in the back, if you will, go, oh, that he's in play for that now?
Oh yeah, like,
And what was it?
There's a couple of them, but there's like steps for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
The first one I would say was the Battle Royal Double or Nothing last year.
Okay.
Because it was like the Battle Royal, and like some people were like, there was like great talent and great names.
Yes.
But like you can go on the discourses and hear people's chatter. Like, why are these guys in this Battle Royal? These guys should be doing something bigger and better on the show. You could have spread these guys out and like had them in different spots. But I'm like, well, I know like throughout the match, it came down to me and Orange Cassidy, the last two.
Yep.
And it was like, I can make something out of this. And sure enough, we killed it to a point where like Tony Khan was like, oh, but now I got to put these guys in a match we give them some time on TV.
That's right.
I got to put these guys in a freaking international title match. And it was like, all right, cool. That opened up people's eyes more. Like, oh, we think Swerve can actually beat Orange Cassidy for this title. Then it turned to like, matter of fact, I think we want to see Swerve beat
right.
Orange Cassidy for this title. And that just gave you the little bit of inkling of like, oh man, we want that, we want that, we want that. So that's what built the drama and the suspense so much in that. That carried over to the Darby Allin story, and then like shooting the attack and everything like that. It was just like at the school, it was like, oh man, for me it was like, you can't talk to me and think you can just walk out of the arena and the beef is over. I can get you anywhere. I can that's where now it's like, oh, that kind of spikes the character arc a little bit of what Swerve's capable of now.
Diabolical.
Yeah, it was like, we know he can go here now. That's the extremes of things. And Nana is like kind of like playing like that conch. He's kind of like my moral compass of things.
Yeah.
It's like, we're going too far. No, push it. And I was like, all right, boss, we got to go. We got to get out of here. Because like,
we almost got caught.
We almost got caught. And the funny thing is like, he knows how far I'm willing to go.
Yeah.
So sometimes he has to pull me back, or like, now's not the time to fight. We got to get out of here. Let's
Bigger
try.
business.
I follow his lead, but I'm there to at least give him some kind of like opinion on the situation before we move forward.
There's perspective on things. It's like, okay, I can do this right now and cause some chaos, but he's like, or we can get to this money and worry about this later.
Right.
How important was that Texas Death Match with Hangman to you?
Major. Then I was going to say like Seattle and Wrestle Dream. That was the next jump up. It was like, wow, he beat like a former world champion.
Right.
Singles, man. Then it was like, yeah, they're going Texas Death Match. He's not going to go 2-0.
I didn't think you would, honestly. From like a
Yeah.
historic booking perspective of just being a wrestling fan.
Right.
Okay, it's going to go 1-1, and then they're going to have a third match. But if the Texas Death Match isn't the blow-off, they're going to do something even crazier. And then it was like, oh,
That was it.
Hangman can't say shit now. Like, it's 2-0, series done. Was there a spot that you tried getting cleared that they were like, nah, chill? Or was it just like, hey, we trust y'all to do your
We
thing?
went out there and fought. We went out there and just like, whatever's under that ring, it's fair game. And I think that's another thing with Hangman. He's another one that's... Hangman's been known to push the boundaries, but I'm someone who wants to push it just as much as he does. So that's where
that was.
That's where that really made it something crazy. We just kept wanting to push the envelope more and more and more. And it's weird. I have a history of doing that in Los Angeles because like Lucha Underground was in Boyle Heights.
Yes.
So with me and Fox, another one who wanted to just push it and push it and push it more. And like kind of have like this hybrid style, like, wait, there's a great athleticism in this too. It's not just like
plunder and shit happening. Everything makes sense.
Yeah, everything makes sense, and it was just like, these are like, actually like, without all this stuff, this is a great match too. These are great performers. These are great athletes. But then, like, you add in the elements. This is still great performers. These are great athletes. They're just, like, brutal.
There was just a lot of emotion in that match.
Of course.
From beginning to end, from the start of it to the finish, and probably, to me, one of the greatest matches that Swerve was in, among the greatest matches that he's been in since we've been working
I feel like the emotion tied in so much more
absolutely.
to, like, the motive of his, like, I pushed the boundaries, so now he has to push it, and he's warranted to push it now. He's like, I crossed a heavy line, and he's like, okay, he crossed the line. To me, it was a matter of, like, invading a man's privacy
into his home.
Yeah. So, like, that's the most, like, and being defenseless, and you can't do anything about it. So that put him in a very costly space where he's at a different space now. I got to him, like, what do you do to someone who's like prior to that match, everything that Hangman Page has done in AEW, and even in wrestling, going back to New Japan and stuff, he's done a lot. And he's like, so as me, I'm like, okay, where do I belong in that history books of Hangman Page now? How do I make my mark in that legion of me trying to climb up and get to that where he's at, a former world champion? He's already, like, had, like, bangers with Kenny, bangers with Bryan Danielson, bangers with the Young Bucks in the tag match, bangers, like, he had a death match earlier that year with Moxley. So that's like, where do I fall in line in any of that? And so, like, I was like, I'm gonna kick the door open. I'm gonna do something that's just like none of these guys have been able to get to him the way that I did. So
I still remember. I still remember when Swerve came to me on that day, and he was just preparing in the back for it, and he just looked at me and he was like, "Are you ready?" And that was it. And I was like, "Oh man, this is gonna be a war today."
So
first 5 minutes to change history.
This is called the Superstar Crossover because my last guest had a question for you, and our last guest was WWE superstar Becky Lynch.
Yeah,
she wanted to know,
what do you want the audience to know about you?
I want to be remembered as I'm the definition, if I want to categorize everything into one, I'm the definition of it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
I like that.
I'm the only person from 205 Live to become a headlining pay-per-view guy, or win a world champion. That's right. And as far as, like, even in the 205 Live era, I was one of the least looked at guys to even be a cruiserweight champion at that time. Like, in every sense, like NXT, I was like, oh, Swerve isn't going to be an NXT champion. Like, I've literally kept receipts of podcasts saying his cap is here. We don't see him here. I was like, bet. So, like, my whole career is like, it's not about how you begin, it's always about how you finish. Yep. And that stays true to anything you do, even in sports. I don't care if you work in the mailroom.
That's right.
Eventually you can make it to the top of the skyscraper and CEO at some point, but you gotta stay consistent and you gotta keep moving. You gotta love it. You gotta have passion.
He loves this to his core. This is a part of who he is and the spirit of Swerve Strickland, and that's why it's always a great thing to work with him.
So two final questions before we wrap things up. Do you have a question for our next guest?
What has the wrestling business done to make you a better person?
I like that.
That's really tough in our industry. What is this doing to make you a better person?
Based on the sacrifices you make and the guilt that you may have, you may feel guilty to make sacrifices that.
And weaving through the political minefields of things. Like, are you out to make your promotion better or yourself better?
And final question: who do you think is the most underrated in the game today?
Underrated in the game today?
Yes, sir.
That's tough because there's, like, I can go through a lot of, like, truth be told, I'm gonna always say Sami Callihan.
Okay, I like that. Shout out to Dayton.
He's one of the most underrated, not only just talents, but minds. He's the reason I have the mind that I have now. For sure.
So one more time, AEW World Heavyweight Champion Swerve Strickland. Appreciate you, bro. Thank you for stopping through.
No problem. Thank you.
Prince Nana. Appreciate you too, brother.
Yes, sir.
Good to be here.